Welcome to Be Well. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan from Year Y, and I'm truly honored to bring you these conversations with leaders in the mindfulness. I have been looking forward to this conversation and this particular guest today. I think we're going to have a lot of fun over the next half hour or so. As your moderator, I come to you with 30 plus years of experience in mindfulness, wellness, and mental health as a practitioner, teacher, facilitator, and therapist. I came across a quote this morning on mindfulness, and each week I try to bring you another way of looking at mindfulness. So this one this morning comes from, or today, comes from Sylvia Bordenstein. Mindfulness is the aware, balanced acceptance of the present experience. It's really not more complicated than just that. It's opening to or receiving the present moment, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, just as it is, without either clinging to it or rejecting it. Today, our conversation is about how to show up for uncertainty. It's a chance for all of us to learn some practical skills, practical ways to truly successfully navigate these uncharted times that we're in. Today's guest is Jessica Zempel. Hello, Jessica.
Hi.
Jessica is a friend, someone who I'm very fond of. I've known for a decade or so. Truly insightful, gifted in offering herself in service to others. I'll give you a sketch of her background if I can. Jessica is the founder of Life Shucker. She helps individuals and organizations find their deeper purpose, translate that into authentic success through transformative coaching, workshops, and retreats. Jessica is also a keynote speaker, has written very much for Huffington Post, Inc. magazine, Thrive Global. A lot of Jessica's life coaching principles and philosophies can be found in Entrepreneur Magazine, Forbes Magazine, Huffington Post, etc. I encourage you throughout our conversation, use the chat function at the bottom of your screen. We really want you to engage with us and be part of this conversation. Also, for the best viewing experience, please, up in your right-hand corner, use the gallery view. As we start and begin our conversation, there's a quote from Mandy Hale that I think is relevant to the theme today. Trust the wait, embrace the uncertainty, enjoy the beauty of becoming. When nothing is certain, anything is possible. Welcome, Jessica. Thank you for being with us. First off, Life Shucker. You got to give us the meaning, the symbolism behind Life Shucker. Share with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for that opening. Those quotes were perfect and just so timely with what we're going to be talking about today. So Life Shucker was born with this idea that everybody is a pearl. And for those of you that are not familiar with how a pearl is formed, it's actually a piece of grit, an irritant inside the oyster. And then the oyster lays this beautiful mother of pearl, the nacre, on top of that grit. And it's those layers that actually create the beautiful pearl. And so I see that as absolutely perfect with all of us. It's the grit in our lives that actually creates our beauty. So that's part of the metaphor. The other part of it is that I really see that each one of us have shells around our pearls, and we close them in times of fear, which is natural and even appropriate at times. The opportunity comes when that shell's closed too long. We start to feel isolated from the world. We start to feel separate from ourselves, from other people, alone and in the dark. And so when that shell is closed too long, it's time to open it. And the only way to do that, and I don't know if any of you guys eat oysters, but it's through shucking. And so you've got to crack that shell open so your pearl can shine. And the only way you can do that is through love. So that is what I try to teach, is love-based techniques to help people really live their full essence and allow them to shine in their best ways. So that's that's a little bit about life, shucker. And you can imagine all the fun I have with the play on words. So well,
That's wonderful. I truly love the concept of it's that rub, that grit in life. It's not when things are smooth. It's kind of going through the grit of life, and that's really where the beauty, the learning comes through. So in this time, there's a lot of grit. A lot of us are contended with truly tremendous uncertainty. First off, why is uncertainty so challenging for most of us?
yeah, so I appreciate drawing in the grit here because it's so true. Right now, there's a lot of grit to be had. And this unsettling feeling with the uncertainty, I think comes from a number of different reasons. And I'm going to ask each of you that are here with us today too, to think about what it is for you, why the uncertainty may be unsettling. So first off, I really believe people inherently want to do the right thing. We are always trying to operate in our best capacity. And when it's unclear what's right or wrong, it's hard to make those choices. And so I'm sure you've been seeing some of the funny things going around about how confusing this time is, right? It's like the stores are open unless they're closed, or it's wild how you can see anything really you're looking for. And so it's that uncertainty. It's not knowing what is right or wrong right now that I think is unsettling for people. And another aspect with that is this helpless feeling. I think because we are all so well-intentioned, we love each other, we love our families, we love the world, and we want people to be safe. We want people to be healthy. And not everybody has the capacity to help and change it immediately right now. So I think that is hard for people. And so it's about finding what you can do right now. We'll get into a few more solutions too. But the other thing that I think is important is to highlight is the uncertainty makes people feel unsafe. When we feel out of control in our lives, we feel unsafe. Though I want to highlight that that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. When we put our safety on external things, such as different authority figures or different situations, that is putting our power out to other people and to things outside of us. And if you can come within and find that safety within, it will absolutely support you in these times of uncertainty. So, Jonathon, I'd be curious for you. I mean, has it been unsettling for you, and in what ways?
It's been unsettling in a lot of ways, just because there's so much undefined. And as you said, as you pitch it out to the public and to authority figures, you get a lot of different information. No mask, wear a mask. Benefit of it, not benefit. Social distancing versus physical distancing, so to speak. And so it's been a never-ending kind of flow of information, almost a saturation of information. And so at some point, I like what you said, because part of mindfulness truly is just being with whatever is at that particular moment. And so if there's uncertainty, if there's overwhelm, if you're anxious, just to be able to be with that, because part of it is, it'll pass. And so I really appreciate some of the things that you'll take us through to uncover where we are currently. I know one of the things that you shared with me earlier is that it's helpful to have a context or an understanding of what our orientation is currently. So what are we operating in? And you had a particular reflective exercise that you wanted us to go through as we start this process.
Thank you, Jonathon. Yeah, I really just invite each of you that are here with us today to think about where you're at today and how far you've probably come. When this first started, it was pretty shocking for many people, if not all, in some way, shape, or form. And here you are in this present moment. And I invite you to tune in and see what is present for you right now. What could use more love, kindness, compassion within you, maybe around you? I just want you to reflect on that, because as we walk through some ideas today, I want to offer those as possibilities to help bring more peace and love, and maybe even a feeling of centeredness or balance while everything around us is changing so quickly and paradoxically not fast enough, right? So I just really want to give you that opportunity to tune in right now for what's real for you.
So the first thing that comes up for being real for me is that, go back 5 weeks ago, I had this expectation of not knowing, are we going to be through this in a month, 2 months, how I should show up to be during this for myself, for my family. So all sorts of different expectations around that. And in some ways, you have to just suspend those expectations.
Those are wise words, Jonathan. So thank you for sharing so authentically. And it's those expectations that I really think we can all let go of. When we have expectations, that's what can lead to disappointment. For example, maybe some of the expectations people are experiencing are that I'm supposed to be as productive with work as I was before. And the reality is there's so much happening that maybe it's just not possible. Maybe you're actually more productive too, right? Maybe you're more laser focused too. So there's not one or the other, but it's when you have an expectation, and how you can find those expectations is when you are using the word should. That's a real strong indicator that there's some type of expectation on yourself, on other people. And that's an opportunity for you to really come to a place of acceptance and maybe even make some agreements with people. So often we're placing expectations on other people and they don't even know. So if we can come together and communicate more authentically, more openly, that will also bring more peace between different people and relationships. So I appreciate you talking about the expectations, and what an opportunity for us all to look at where our expectations are and how we can come to a place of more acceptance.
And I think of, as you pointed out, it's not only expectations that you have on yourself, but you want to reveal those are, because bring them to consciousness, but also expectations that we project onto others that they're not aware of either, that can trip us up at different times. And so as I think about that, anxiety and stress just seems to compound some of those things. And it's easy for us, almost in a conscious way, to slide into these maladaptive, unhealthy behaviors. So what should we watch out for with that?
Yeah, that's a great point, Jonathan. And I find that when we are in grit, as we are right now, it's almost like there's a magnifying glass on us, and it's revealing to us where we have opportunities to heal and grow. And so right now, I really encourage all of you to be looking at your own choices, your own behaviors, and identifying where you might be able to try something new. So for example, if you're feeling out of control, some people's behavior might be trying to find other places to control, whether it be their weight, maybe in an unhealthy way, or other people potentially. And so if you find yourself doing that, it's no judgment at all, right? We are all human. We're all going through life together, learning and growing all the time. And it's more about finding that opportunity and making changes from that place of awareness. So if you find yourself trying to control other people, take notice, and you can redirect that and look at things that you can control. So we'll talk about some things like mindset, or maybe it's as simple as cleaning out the closet, something that you can truly physically control, having organization. And that may bring that sense of peace inside of you rather than any unhealthy behaviors on the outside. Another one, Jonathan, that I think people can pay attention and look out for is numbing ourselves. I don't really think our society has taught us how to be with our emotions in a healthy way. I think there's a big opportunity for all of us to understand our emotions and work with them. And now, especially, I call it the COVID coaster. Everybody's kind of going up and down at different times, and it's totally natural. And I think our emotions are actually really healthy. They indicate to us different information than we might not be getting through other facets of life. However, if you're numbing those emotions out through addictions, different things such as, drinking a little bit more than you might, or maybe you're watching a little bit more TV than you normally would. Again, it's no judgment, but it's more about paying attention to your behavior so you can live in the most mindful way, most conscious way. And as you do that, you can lift yourself up. And as you do that, you lift those around you as well. So there's a ripple effect by looking at your own behaviors and your own conscious choices.
I like that. I was reading something in the news a week or so ago, and it was talking about alcohol sales are up 50%. And as a society, we're pretty challenged with our use of alcohol as it is, but to see a 50% increase, that's pretty amazing. And so it goes back to your point that we want to escape these feelings that are uncomfortable. We run from them in a lot of different ways. But often it's said when you turn and face it, it seems to dissipate. So I know when you and I were talking about, you were talking about the whole idea of getting real, looking at your situation in a real way, really taking it on.
Yeah, that is one way to help with what's going on right now, and really for all of life. There's so much coming at us, whether it's from media or family and friends or whatever channels of information that are filling your world, that it's important for you to filter out what is truly real for you. Because we are compassionate beings, I think we can sometimes fall into other people's problems unnecessarily. So by slowing down, I think that's really critical. Slowing down and getting real on what is present for you. Slowing down is so important right now because it allows us to really get that inner guidance that is so critical in helping us make choices from an intentional place rather than a place of reactivity. And when you come from that intentional place, you are always going to get better results than a reactive place. Again, not saying it's you can't do that, right? Because sometimes you do have to react. However, the more you can slow down and tune in, the better off you'll be and those around you.
I like that because the opportunity is there for us to slow down. I mean, sheltering in place really provides an opportunity and lends itself for us being able to reflect on our life, reflect on who we are. And I don't want to miss the opportunity because I do think there's an opportunity within all this for a different way of being, either individually and or collectively. And so to be able to slow down, reflect on where we are, and just be present, as you said, is very grounding.
And Jonathon, if I could add on to what you said, I think it goes brilliantly into this idea of thinking differently. I heard you say, reflecting on what's real for you, what's present for you, where your opportunities for healing and growth are. Right. And I really encourage everybody to think differently now, but really always. So I keep hearing this idea and this concept that the coronavirus is the problem. While I absolutely see all the challenges it's bringing into our lives, I also like to flip those types of questions upside down and inside out. And what I mean by that, Jonathon, is what if the coronavirus isn't actually the problem, but it's the solution? What if the coronavirus is here to actually help us? I really believe all of life is for us. It's happening for us. It's not happening to us. We're not victims here. We are in this life to experience the breadth and all that life has to offer here. And that includes these challenges. And so with that, I really want to invite everyone here listening to this call to think about how could this actually be a gift for you, for your loved ones? Jonathon, I don't know if you have any ideas there in seeing how coronavirus might be an actual solution or a positive thing.
Well, I think what I like about it is it allows us to not be a victim, but to be an active subject in this. This is what we're presented with. And there's been different schools of mind that have looked at the pandemic on a different level, looked at how things have gotten out of balance in the world, how we're using the world's resources, and how in some ways it's like a banking model. We've taken out too much from the bank, we're overdrawn. And so how do we give back? And so that's one on the level of the earth and the planet, but is that also true for spirit and in other different ways? So it is an opportunity, because the opportunity is presented to us to be active subjects and architects of how we move forward from here, because there's a lot of talk about going back to how things were being, go back to normal. And as a society, we've always built upon, we've always learned from and moved forward. And so I believe this is an opportunity like that as well. That's not to say that we can't be captured by all these emotions and uncertainty. And I'll come back to, so what do we do when we get captured? We're talking of harmony, and that's great to be in that place, but sometimes we're not. And so what kind of guidance can you give us to create that?
Well, there's so many tools and techniques out there to support people. And I think one to start with is recognizing that you would benefit from help and asking for it. And I think, the Y is the absolute perfect place. There's so many services within the Y that I don't think people know about, whether it's the social services branch or these virtual coffee shops that everybody's having. But I think right now it's important to give yourself permission to be exactly where you're at. If you are upset, work through that, whether you have the tools on your own, and if you don't, that's okay too. Ask for help. There's so many different resources available, and I personally think it's the most courageous thing anyone can do is to really lean on each other right now. There's a South African philosophy called Ubuntu from Jonathon and I's ride. It was the theme of our ride, and it's this idea that we bring each other into existence by really seeing and acknowledging each other. And now more than ever it's really important to really have that interconnection with each other. We are all one, we're all in this together. Everybody's journey is uniquely different, and I want to honor that. And by knowing that we're interconnected, we can all support each other through this. So I think, Jonathon, that's the first one, is asking for help and knowing that we're in this together.
Yes, and I love Ubuntu. I always reflect on the saying, I am because we are. It's really that we're all part of the community, the collective together, and we're impacted and supported and grow because of all of us. So if I'm listening to this, and taking certain pearls and gems, how do I share that with my family, my loved one, my children?
I love it. I want to say that you start with intention. So it starts within and saying, okay, what is it that you want to bring to your family? So slow down, think about, okay, what kind of conversation do I want to craft for dinner tonight? Or how do I want to show up as a person? Maybe you've lost a little patience today or will tomorrow, or we're all kind of going through this and having more glamorous moments than others, right? So giving yourself that permission to be human, and maybe even finding a little bit of forgiveness and getting clear on what it is you want to bring to your family. And then by bringing that energy into the equation, that will fuel and facilitate the conversation. And I always go with open-ended questions. So it could look anything like, what was your experience today? Or where might I be able to help you a little bit better? Or how could this bring out even more of your beauty? So questions like that could really foster a very healthy conversation within the family and or with friends or loved ones, even four-legged friends. Sometimes the not responding with words is just as helpful as people with words.
So you're such a wonderful linguist. The words you use is so descriptive and expansive. So we're in this time, which is a little bit of a pause in some levels, but rich opportunity for growth. How do we step out here in a particular direction with all these unknowns if we're wanting to set goals, look at what our next steps are?
Well, I think first it starts with remembering this is a marathon, not a sprint. And so really, I've watched people burn themselves out in some ways, thinking that they've got to move really fast. And sometimes that's necessary. And it goes back to slowing down. Look at, okay, is this really as urgent as I'm making this? Or is there an unnecessary pressure that I'm putting on this that we can, change by changing our mindset? Then it's giving yourself permission to dream right now. I have worked with a lot of people that actually feel guilty being happy right now. And I love where it comes from. It comes from this deep compassion and empathy, and wanting the good for everybody. And through that, though, they're holding themselves back. So give yourself permission to allow yourself to dream right now. And whatever that is for you, if it's simply cleaning your house right now, great. And start with one room. And if it is launching a new business right now, that's fantastic. With whatever your goal is, set something that is achievable, that's too small to fail. And that's really important, because then what that does is it builds your self-confidence and it builds the momentum in the direction that you want to go. So having that large vision is really important, and then allowing yourself to take the necessary steps to get yourself to that dream. And Jonathan, one thing I always tell people is that if you could do one small thing every single day in the direction of your dream, within a year, you would have 365 things done. And imagine what that adds up to over the course of an entire year. So just doing one small thing and playing around with it, experimenting. And especially right now, while I do hear some judgments and criticism in the world, the other side of that is I really feel like we are in a time that is so forgiving of failure. We have grandparents that are here on Zoom with us. They're figuring out technology. And that's incredible. And people are giving like such a leeway with failure right now. So if there's something you've wanted to try, why not now? With this environment that people are more supportive and more forgiving. So that would be some ideas from my side. But Jonathan, anything to add from your side?
No, I like that a lot. And I'll just highlight your emphasis on being happy and giving permission for that. I think about the last time we were struck by this as a country, and in some ways globally, it was like after 9/11. And at that point in time, it was hard for people to open up to, there's a lot of fear, anxiety, a lot of unknown at that point. And it was hard for people to embrace being happy or humor. And as I'm out and about, I see a lot of people that may not look at you, they're afraid of contagion, they may not greet or smile. And I think about that first Saturday Night Live after 9/11, and there was a monologue, and it was something about okay to be funny again. And the comment was, well, why start now? And so it started us to just, smile and laugh again. So I know humor is important in your prescription. So share a little bit about that.
Transformation can be hard enough, right? So that is why I've added humor to my work, because it it makes it more accessible. It adds an element of lightness and just really feeling good about the personal growth work that I'm so into and support. But yeah, so if you can create humor, and that goes to any way you can get it, and filtering all the type of information you're consuming. So there's so many great sources of humor out there. So creating that, if you're not the funny person, or if you are, get back to being your humorous self and lighten up everybody's day, because it's going to help us all. We're all in this together, and humor is truly some of the best medicine.
Our time's going quick. I want to hit a couple of chat questions, but I know one of the things that you ascribe to that I love, love, love is the importance of gratitude.
Yes. I think that is absolutely critical in all of life, because where we focus our attention, that grows. And so if you focus on gratitude and all the blessings in your life, that is what you're going to see, that is what you're going to experience. And then when the other experiences come in, they don't take such a big part in the script of your life, right? So by focusing on gratitude, it will absolutely support you in keeping your energy up and keeping your emotions more balanced, feeling more centered and equanimity within any time of your life. So gratitude is absolutely important now and always. And give yourself some gratitude. Give yourself some credit. We're here. We're 5 weeks into this, and you're tuning into this community with us right now. I mean, kudos. That's excellent. So find different ways to acknowledge yourself, acknowledge the people around you, and that goes back to the theory of Ubuntu, right? It's like we bring each other into existence, and we can thank people for showing up and sharing their gifts. It only encourages them to do it more, and it's just this beautiful cycle of love, really.
So I'll give you a couple opportunities to respond briefly. In chat, feelings of being lost, overwhelmed during this very confusing time. How do I take that on? How do I find grounding?
Mm. Feeling lost, and what were the other ones, Jonathan?
Lost and overwhelmed during
Yeah.
a confusing time.
Yeah. So first off, thank you for sharing that question with us. That takes a lot of courage to put that out there. And what I want to offer to you is that overwhelm comes from a mindset. And so if you can slow down and get present, as Jonathan first started off our conversation with, as to what's real for you. And you might even want to make a list of what your worries are. When you put them down, one, as Jonathan mentioned, it's like as you face your fears and speak your fears out loud, sometimes they just dissipate by that simple notion and that act. And I find that when I put things down, I can actually see how real it is for me. We have this uncanny ability to create the worst case scenarios in our stories. And so what I would offer you as well is to look at that list and say, how true is this? Is that something I need to worry about right now? And if not, I would negotiate with your ego and say, listen, why don't we put that off on the side, and we can deal with that at a later date. I appreciate you worrying and looking out for my best interest, but it's just not important what's going to happen in September right now, because there's nothing you can actually do potentially. I mean, there's, all sorts of scenarios. So remembering overwhelms a mindset and taking ownership of where that's coming from, doing a methodical approach of listing out really what is present, what needs to be addressed, what's urgent, what can be put on hold. That will help you as well. And then another thing that I find super valuable is journaling. Just really writing where your feelings are coming from, giving them space to express themselves, giving them space to really release and get out of your whole consciousness. I hope that's helpful.
I like the journaling because it's so helpful to see if you reflect back, oh, I was yesterday and look where I am today. And we are so good to accept the negative, critical, outrageous, worst scenario mindset, but we challenge the positive. Anything good about ourselves, we challenge pretty hard, and we need to do the flip of that.
That's right.
Someone you know about to grow us of the technique focuses on empowerment, built around the idea of living with from a place of love rather than fear. Sounds like that was one of your teachings, Jessica.
Might have been.
So anything else that you'd like to share just in closing? I know you have various resources that you may want to offer us.
Yeah, well, I'm here for each one of you. So you can find me, and I think there'll be a slide with my information. But please do not hesitate to reach out. I am happy to share all the tools I have and point you in the right direction. The YMCA, as you all, as many of you know, also is incredible and has a wide breadth of resources to support each one of you right now and really forever. So, and I also just really want to thank each one of you for giving me this time with you. There's a lot of things you could be doing right now, and it's really a privilege for me to share everything I love and hopefully help all of you gain a few pearls of wisdom, as I like to say, and hopefully walk away feeling a little more empowered and or even balanced through some of the conversation that Jonathon and I just had.
Jessica, thank you so much for offering your valuable insights, your pearls. I appreciate you being with us today and gifting us those. For all of you, I thank you for being with us, and join us next time. And until then, please be well. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.